Good evening, grand rising, whatever it is for you. Good afternoon, whatever. How we doing today? We Gucci? Today's live is gonna be an interesting one. Believe you me, real interesting. Because I was watching some videos, and of course, I'm watching videos and they get me hot. Peace, Raya. Peace, my love. Peace, peace, Barrett. Workout vlog talk. working out the body and the mind. All right, working out the body and the mind, body, and soul. So yes, today is gonna be real interesting. I got a little setup here, a little variety of things I want to talk about. Um, my Magi in the building. Peace, peace, Hannibal, the high priest in the east. We're gonna figure out your YouTube situation. We're gonna figure that out. Um, but yes, I have a few things set up here for us to be discussing because I notice, and especially when it comes to our people, right? And these know-it-all Negroes that they don't know it all. They assume that they know it all because they are highly educated, because they've gone to higher school. They got higher learning. High. What is higher? What's his learning? All right. What is it? What is higher learning? Are you really learning what you need to learn to maneuver, right? To maneuver within our current system, if you want to call it. These people, and it's funny to me how people do not go in depth to their research. I got a few people, coming on here from different, backgrounds. We got the Moors in the building, Islam to the Moors, and we got a few people, the sleepy Moors, those who know they are not Moors, supposed to be coming in the building. So we'll see. And I threw it up on my Instagram. If anybody from over there want to come on on the joint, I don't see many people from my Instagram coming over here. They're not ready for this, so or whatever I got to say. But we're gonna open up with one of my old time favorites, right? Yep. So if you any type of woke, right? You got the if you supposedly any type of woke, you got the autobiography of Malcolm X, right? Because we have this, we have Roots, and what other book? This Roots, and I want to. I'll go as far as to say the new Jim Crow, right? Which I have too. The new Jim Crow, which makes you automatically woke in the realm of the woke sphere. Okay. But I just have a little passage here that when I thought about this, I thought about this passage, I thought about my passage in The Miseducation of the Negro, and then all of that combined, I also have here To Die for the People, okay? Huey Newton here. And it's a collection of his essays and his works and stuff. So I have those, and we're gonna go in, and I'm gonna kind of divulge of what I've been seeing out here. And this is not just in our conscious community, but because I feel like the conscious community is just a small part of the woke sphere, right? Because all you need to be woke these days is just know that the rights of Asiatic Moors or so-called blacks are being infringed. All right, they're killing us in the street. That's all you need to know to be woke. Black Lives Matter and all that. So we will start with it's page 248 on the autobiography of Malcolm X. Today's Uncle Tom doesn't wear a handkerchief on his head. This modern 20th century Uncle Thomas now often wears a top hat. He's usually well dressed and well educated. He's often the personification of culture and refinement. The 20th century Uncle Thomas sometimes speak with a Yale or Harvard accent. Sometimes he's known as professor, doctor, judge, and reverend, even right reverend doctor. This 20th century Uncle Thomas is a professional Negro. By that I mean his profession is being a Negro for the white man. Black bodies with white heads. I call them what they were. Every one of those Negro processes, organizations had the same composition. Black leaders were out in public eye to be seen by the Negroes for whom they were supposed to be fighting the white man. But obscurely, behind the scenes, was a white boss, a president or board chairman or some other title, pulling the real strings. All right? Autobiography of Malcolm X. And as you can see, I am not afraid to read out loud to y'all, okay? So, what was Malcolm saying? What was Malcolm saying? Can anybody decipher what he was saying in those two passages that I just read? I know some people working out over here, but let's work out those little fingers. And Hannibal, you cannot answer because you already know. But what was he saying? It's so clear. It's so clear at what he was saying in this passage here, which I feel like is one of the most important passages in the autobiography of Malcolm X, because not only was he talking about the so-called Negroes and these Negro organizations, your NAACPs and such, your so-called black churches and such, but he's talking about pretty much any Negro in the position of power who is supposed to be leading our people, that they all at the end of the day work for the European, work for the so-called white man. That's at the end of the day. That these people who we look to because they have the Harvard education, they have the HBCU education, they talk correctly, they use all these, 5, 6, 7 syllable words. Islam, More Comedy, what's up? More Comedy says he was basically saying that your own people will betray you. They come well dressed but still work for the pale man. Yes. At the end of the day, right? At the end of the day. So they and well dressed now doesn't mean, just the top hat and stuff like that. Well dressed to me, or the dress that they have to me, especially with these HBCU Negroes, is they're wearing the fro. They're wearing natural hair. They're wearing the dashikis. They're wearing the kente cloth. They're wearing the African print. They got a tattoo of Africa somewhere on their body. They got the Nefertiti necklace. They got African earrings. They got they're embodying their Africanism, right? If that's a word I can use. They're embodying their Africanism. But at the end of the day, who were they taught by? And what were they taught? Okay? They were taught by these HBCUs, but as you know, or as you may or may not know, these HBCUs, majority of them, if not all of them, were founded by the European, were founded by the so-called white man. Okay? And then their education system, which we're going to go into with the trusty miseducation of the Negro. We're going to go into that. We're going to dive into that one. Because the passage that I'm going to read out of that one deals specifically with the law, right? And how our people know very little about the law, know very little about their rights. And it's amazing to me how you can be so educated, how you can have these 7, 6, 8 syllable words in your vocabulary, but you do not know the basic fundamentals of how the government works, what rights you are granted under the government, and how you are able to use those rights to your benefit. Okay? So I was watching a video. Again, people send me these things to watch and get me upset and all in my feelings because people really don't know what the heck they're talking about when they're talking about these certain subjects, where we can read between the lines and we read these things. So the thing that they sent me, and I know it's super old news, but at the time I was on Instagram, I wasn't on YouTube at the time, with Corin Gaines, right? And they sent me, and of course it was the grapevine, and they were discussing the Corin Gaines thing, and the thing got me so hot because they, first of all, they brought the Moors in there, and they clearly knew nothing of the Moors. They clearly knew nothing about the Moors, and the what the little they did know about the Moors was probably the dirty Moors that we be talking about. That see a YouTube video. I wouldn't even call them Moors. I call them the fake Moors, right? They'll see a YouTube video, they'll see an Instagram post, and they'll run with it. Again, like how I was saying in my last video, claiming that you don't got to pay your income tax, but you're not even in your proper status. You are still, a corporate identity, you're still a corporate name, and you're saying that you're not going to pay your income tax, but you are still a corporation, so therefore your wages are income because you're a corporation. But we'll go there. We'll go there. So they're talking about the Corin Gaines situation, how they were calling her crazy, and how they were saying that she was spitting rhetoric, which is another thing that burns me. She was spitting rhetoric, information that they didn't clearly know anything about. They're basing their whole ideas off of that one video where she got pulled over. And again, the reason why I'm bringing this up, even though it was almost 2 years ago now, it'll be 2 years this summer that she was taken from us. I wouldn't say she passed away, but she was taken from us. They were the fact of the matter is that the video is still up there, and people still have access to the video, and people still can use the video. I have a question. How did the dirty Moors become the face of the upright Moors, the active Moors? Because of the infiltration and the COINTELPRO operations. And Hannibal can speak more to this because he's been directly affected by it. But from what he says and from what I see, that whenever you have any type of division, like I've always said this before, right? Whenever you have any type of division, it is easier to be infiltrated once you are divided. So once you have people reading a book and taking a different interpretation of the book, right? Because that's what happens when the Honorable Noble Drew Ali, still not around, heard about her case today. Her family have a civil suit against the police department. We'll put a pin on that, Barrett, because this is again what they did not address in the original video. So once the Honorable Noble Drew Ali is no longer around, right? To explain or to clarify his words, we now have other people interpreting his message however they want to interpret it, right? And they get so caught up in the little points when there's a whole bigger picture, right? The whole bigger picture, and Noble Drew Ali's whole bigger picture was not just about certain sex, right? Was not just about this grand sheik is the person you need to follow, and it wasn't about that. It was about his people as a whole, right? Was liberating us, right? Getting us back into our proper person, getting us back to knowing who we are. That is the overall message, but we don't ever want to focus on the overall message. We always want to focus on the little bits and pieces that, I'm going to follow this person because his interpretation is what I vibe with most, or I'm going to follow this person because his interpretation is what I vibe with most. But this is the thing. When you have interpretations, now you're basing it on feelings, right? When you have interpretations, that's not facts, right? You have to deal with facts. Like Taj says, you deal with the facts. You don't deal with emotions. You don't deal with opinions. You don't deal with interpretations. Because what it is what it is. When you have a law, is what it is. Hannibal says, yeah, Daddy told me that it was a hit on that sheriff. She had filed a suit against the police. Yes. So like how Barrett was saying, the family has a civil suit against the police department. Corin Gaines, before that before that video of the encounter with the police where she was pulled over, where she had the children in the back, that video was not the beginning of her story, was not the beginning of her troubles, because she already had several encounters with the police and she was going to file, a lawsuit against them. So, and if anybody knows, if anybody watches Taj, you know that that's how you get at these people. And it had heavy weight behind the suit. Yes. So, and this goes to the fact of why her whole social media was erased, right? Because and in the video, what burned me up was the people were saying that, she was videotaping her or live streaming her encounter, at least for social media fame. When if anybody who's in this knows that you have to take video evidence of these people because you need to hold them accountable and have a track record. Go onto my YouTube. Go to a video. I want to say maybe 2012, maybe 2013. I have a video on here of me encountering a so-called police officer, a so-called officer of the law. He was actually a state police, and I have my whole encounter there. And thankfully, I came out of that, alive. He did end up pulling me out of my vehicle and harassing me and all that stuff. They did steal my car from me, and all of that. But see, how I handled it is I did not go back and forth with him. I went back and forth a little bit, but at the end of the day, after he already took me out, I did not continue the fight, because I knew the fight then had to go to the courts. Because when you take that fight to the courts, and when you standing on your square, when you know the law, you can't lose. You cannot lose. And, unfortunately, I did not know about who the Moors were. I did not know I myself was a Moor. I wasn't in my proper person, but I did know parts of the law. I did know the constitutional parts. So I went to court. I filed my writs. I filed, my petitions and stuff. And I got pissed with these changes. Dirty Moors who are trying to blame my father for his death. Yes, and exactly. And they low-key subbed the Moors on that video, and that's what got me hot. So I went and filed my petitions and filed my writs and stuff like that before I even went to the court case, before I even had my case. And when I went to court that day, prepared for my case, I had my whole, files and everything like that. Case was dismissed. They didn't even call me. They didn't even call me up to the stand. I didn't even go beyond. I didn't, pass the barriers into their area. I was still outside. Where you sit down and you wait for them to call you. I didn't even get to stand up. They said they had my kid. First of all, I was the last one that they called. I was sitting there. I went there freaking 9 a.m. I did not leave until I was the last one called before they went to lunch at 1. And I'm sitting there waiting. I got my papers ready. I'm waiting for them to call me, because I'm like, I know for a fact that this is bullshit. They sat there. They talked amongst each other. The prosecutor and the so-called judge sitting there talking amongst each other and stuff like that. And they this is the most, I've never heard of this. Judge called me up, I'm sitting way in the back. Oh, ma'am, yes, you're free to go. Go on. Do I gotta pay? No, just go on. Oh, all right. And I left. So, again, and this is what I said about the sister Corinne Gaines, is that she absolutely was standing on her square. However, with the fact of especially her having children involved, that this should have been taken up into the courts. She should have just kept going, with it and pursuing the lawsuit inside the courts. She did not have to take it to where she is, interacting with these highwaymen on the street and doing all these extra things. It's nothing for you to lose a material vehicle. That's nothing for you to do, because at the end of the day you're still walking away with your children and you're walking away with your life. And that's what I had recognized that day. It's not for them to go take my vehicle. That's all right, because I'm still walking away with my life. And at the end of the day, when I go to court, we're gonna fight this, and I came out the victor in the end. So unfortunately, she was, but see, the way that they portrayed it as she was belligerent. She was crazy. She knew not what she was talking about. She was, kind of brainwashed by this rhetoric, brainwashed by this sovereignty movement. And they go on to the fact that saying, there's never a case with these sovereigns that they win. Yep, no emotions, just stand on your square. Exactly. And she was quite emotional. Yeah, they do that to us Moors. We're the last call because they don't want people to hear your legal actions and words. Exactly. I didn't even get to speak, Hannibal, because like I said, I already submitted my petitions and my writs before I went into court. And that's the thing that people don't do. They wait until they're in court to try and argue. No, you already know where I'm coming from before. And this is why I think, even though I wasn't in my proper person, that they didn't mess with me, because they probably assumed that I was in my proper person. They probably assumed that I was going to come in there speaking, like a Moor. But I petitioned and stuff. And this is the crazy thing that people don't, they think they have to depend on lawyers to do this. And this was me I think this was 2003. Islam, okay, sis, I see you are very too. That's what's up. Traveling wise, it's an honor to be with active women more. Give thanks, Muhammad. Give thanks. But like I said, at that point in time, I knew nothing that I was a Moor. I knew nothing of the Moors, right? But I did know what was in the law, and I did know how to do my research and how to go about and maneuver without using the lawyers, because I understood then that the lawyers, the attorneys are not on your side. The attorneys are not telling you these things, right? So, I went up, and this is before I knew about RV Bay Publications or anything like that, right? This is before I knew that there was a group of people who already knew this information, who was putting this information out. I was just doing my own research about, why they're able to take your vehicle and your car when you are breaking no laws. And that's when I kind of stumbled upon all these cases that went before the Supreme Court. This is not no little High Park municipality that I went to, or the I believe it was a park. It wasn't there. It wasn't a state court. It was the Supreme Court, of the land, right? So we have, and I was like, I should have been on this panel, or they at least should have had, and this is what I'm saying, these people kind of want to argue these points, but do not have the proper people representing it. They have these debates, but the debate is always one-sided. So if you knew that this was, they like to call it an ideology, but what about law is an idea? What about law is an ideology? What about law is a rhetoric? Because law to me is simple. It's simple facts that everybody kind of agrees upon that this is the law. And they say that she didn't obey the law, but you know nothing of law to say that she didn't obey the law. Oh, she was driving without a license and a registration. She was wrong in the first place, when you know nothing of the law, right? So for people who don't know, I have pulled up, I wish I had my original, it's probably somewhere in my documents at home, but I still have, the case file of that case. And if you go, and you can see that I'm not lying, I'm bullshit you not. You go onto my YouTube, because I videotaped it. I videotaped the encounter with the officer. And, I use that term loosely, the officer. And, YouTube had blocked out the audio of it a while ago, right? This is like when it first came out, the audio was blocked out. So I had to then write a transcript of what I was saying. So again, you can see that I am not bullshitting, that video was up there, that I've been about this life since day one, right? So again, and I was, spitting a lot of the so-called rhetoric that was saying that she was spitting, right? That these sovereign people, these sovereign citizens, and they had the nerve to say that all the cases of so-called sovereign citizens always end up with them going to jail or them being in the wrong. And I'm sitting here like, what cases are they talking about? Because you see so many Moors who have videotaped them going against the magistrate, right? Them going against the magistrate and coming out the victor. You see, and it's not just Moors neither. You see the Europeans do it as well, because we've been switched around, right? We've been switched around of to whose status it is. The system is enforcing ordinance. We focus on Supreme Court law. Exactly. So, one case law, right? One law case. The right to travel, the right to mode of conveyance, the right to locomotion are all absolute rights, and the police cannot make void the exercise of rights. So this is the type of stuff that I'm spitting to them. The use of highways for the purpose of travel and transportation is not a mere privilege, but a common and fundamental right of which the public and natural beings cannot be rightfully deprived. And again, like I was saying, they're saying that there is no instance. There's no instance, Peace Martinez. There is no instance of anybody on this sovereign citizen, on this Moore stuff, coming out the victor. But here we have clear case, Supreme Court case laws, State versus Armistead is the first one that I read. The second one with the highway for the use of the purpose of travel and transportation is not a mere privilege, but a common and fundamental right of which the public and natural beings cannot be rightfully deprived. Chicago Motor Coach versus Chicago, Illinois, right? And these are Supreme Court laws, Boone versus Clark. So you can go look up these court cases yourself. And these people came up with it. It's because of the state laws that we know, right? But we don't know, because the know-it-all Negroes, the one who went to your HBCUs, the modern day Uncle Toms in here and telling you that you have to comply, you have to bend, you have to just listen to authority, right? Because they were saying she's not respecting authority. Well, whose authority is it? Whose authority is it? Do they pay our bills, or do we pay their bills? Because in your house, right? In your home, in your domicile, when your mama says, do you pay the bills? Because once you pay the bills, then you can make the laws, right? Whose bills do we pay? Do we not pay these highwaymen? Do we not pay their bills? Are they not public servants? They work for us. So who makes the laws? Who is the authority? We are the authority. They are not the authority. We are the authority. And this is what these know-it-all Negroes need to understand. We are the authority. The right of a citizen to travel upon the public ways and to transport one property thereon, either by carriage or automobile, is not a mere privilege. Is not a mere privilege. It is not a mere privilege which a city may prohibit, which a city may prohibit, which a city may prohibit or permit at will, at will, at will. Meaning they cannot at will, whenever they feel like it, prohibit your right to travel. Again, YouTube might block this out from me again, because they blocked it out last time that I was trying to talk about your rights to travel on public highways. Okay? We're going to start over again. The right of a citizen to travel upon the public highways and to transport one's property thereon, either by carriage or automobile, is not a mere privilege which a city may prohibit or permit at will, but a common right which he or she has under the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Thompson versus Smith. Kick the ballistics. You know I am, Hannibal. And to think about it, how are you going to bind to a fictitious entity? It's only real on paper. Exactly. Exactly. I don't know where John is. John said he was going to come in here. I was telling him he needed to come in here and learn a little something. Okay? So boom. So I just read several Supreme Court case laws. And the funny thing is, these people who went on to her Instagram, who or not her Instagram, her the YouTube, and seen the videos and stuff like this, they didn't do any further research to say, well, let's see if the so-called rhetoric that she is speaking has validity. No, we don't want to go that far. We don't want to dig that far, right? We don't want to dig that far. Licenses are issued to those persons without proper status in a land wishing to perform duties that would not otherwise be allowed. Licenses are issued to those persons without proper status in a land wishing to perform duties that would not otherwise be allowed. So again, we're going to talk about status, right? Are you in your proper person? Do you have the status? Okay? Again, and this is what the Moors are teaching, but they're saying the Moors are teaching rhetoric. The Moors don't know what they're talking about. When all of this is based on cases, Supreme Court cases, law, things that you can look up and verify for yourself. For yourself. So we have this license, and it gives us the imaginary power to be able to operate when we know for a fact 100,000 people a day navigate these roads without licenses, right? We know this for a fact. You have your hot boys and girls who, because of the life that they chose, do not have licenses or driver's licenses and are able to and still operate on the road, right? So having the license does not just automatically grant you the right, oh, now I can drive. No. You, as your natural being, can operate and maneuver and travel on these highways at any which time you choose. Hi, Nugget. We know you gotta make your appearance. Yep, I know. Okay? Again, so the license, what is it for then, right? What is it for? What is anything that these people give us for, right? Is to get money out of our pockets. The intention of the driver's license is to regulate commerce and extract funds from the natural people by way of excise tax. You know, those excise taxes that you get from whatever city, whatever municipality that you live in, right? Determines how much excise tax you're paying to that city. This regulation of commerce creates crime by turning natural rights into privileges that shall be contingent on an individual's good standing with agencies owned and operated by the state. Again, these are cases, right? These are Supreme Court cases. This is what they discuss in case. Yep, fact, sis, license is just permission to do commerce. Exactly. And commerce, again, this goes to whether you are a natural person or whether you are a corporation. Because once you're a corporation, then you're acting in commerce, right? Then you're doing business once you're a corporation. So anybody who's ever, worked for a company, when they're on company time and they travel during company time, the company is supposed to be paying you by the mile of whatever you drive, right? Certain jobs and stuff, paying you by the mile wherever you go, and even some companies go as far as to paying for gas for you, right? So while you're on company time, while you are representing that company, you are then paid, but you are acting in commerce. But once you are out of that company, once you are in your natural person, once you are just driving down the street to go grocery shopping or driving down the street to pick up grandma, you are no longer a company. You are no longer doing commerce. You are a natural person on the public highway, on a public roadway, doing what natural people do, right? Going to grocery shop, going to visit your friend, going to do this and going to do that. All right? So to be pulled over by these highwaymen who pull you over, who intimidate you, who coerce you into giving up your rights, into paying fines and stealing money from you, they're going in to do that, and then even go as far to commandeer your vehicle, commandeer your automobile, sometimes render you helpless, because sometimes it may be late at night, you may be stuck on the side of a highway somewhere, on the side of a roadway somewhere, and nobody's able to pick you up for hours, and they leave you to on your own. It matters not what happens. You can get killed afterwards. And will they be held responsible? That's a good question, Fox. Will they be held responsible? Because is that negligence? Is that not negligence? If we as natural people say me and my friend somewhere, and we get into an argument, and I leave my friend out, and she, gets hit by a bus, or she gets killed, something like that. Is that not negligence upon my part? Is this not what homicide cases are about, and determining what degree of murder it is? Is it manslaughter? Is it second degree homicide? What is it? So again, these people who go to school, who speak in the proper vernacular, and oh, I'm so studied, I speak so well, so that means you have to listen to what I say. That means what I'm saying is valid. That means I know what I'm talking about. And clearly, none of these people did their research into the case that they were talking about. If you're going to talk about Corinne Gaines, then you should know every aspect of the case. You should just not talk about it because it's the hot topic to talk about. You should not talk about it just because, oh, it's about police brutality, and we're gonna say how this case should not fit into the box of police brutality, when clearly it's a clear-cut case, and some people on that panel, peace, Rick, some people on that panel understood that this was, regardless of what you know or what you don't know, because again, ignorance of the law is no excuse. Because you're ignorant of the law does not mean you can condemn somebody who knows the law, because clearly Corinne Gaines knew what the hell she was talking about. And Corinne Gaines was on her way to fight the system. Corinne Gaines, and they're saying, oh, you can't liken her to a Malcolm X. You can't liken her to the Black Panthers. But what are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? Absolutely nothing. The system is layered in how it protects itself, so unless we find a clear-cut loophole, they win. Peace, Denisha. The loophole, it's not such. Did I not just read the case laws to you? There's no clear cut loophole. It is what it is. It is what it is. The intention of the driver's license is to regulate commerce and extract funds from the natural people by way of excise tax. By way of excise tax. The right to travel, the right to mode of conveyance, the right to locomotion are all absolute rights that the police cannot make void exercise of your right. State Supreme Court case law. It's stating it right then. The State versus Armstead. These are Supreme Court cases. They cannot, and once you know these laws, then you become a target. Because if you're going to, it would have been a high profile case. This mother of children, this so-called Black woman, is taking to court the, what was it, Baltimore? I think it was Baltimore. Is going against and suing the Baltimore police I don't know what county it was, or I'm not really familiar with Baltimore like that, but taking them to court and suing them, and she would have won. Just like all these other cases, they would have won. And these people who are going in these, being pulled over by the ICE or police, is basically them accusing you of doing commerce. That's why they can sue you. Exactly. Ticket you. Exactly. But if you are in your proper person, you have no need for that. Just like if you are in your proper person, they cannot tax you on your income, because you have no income, because you are not a corporation. One more time, Fox. You are not a corporation. They cannot tax you income, because income is what corporations gain. You, as a natural person, get wages. You get wages. You get monies paid as a wage, not as income. You travel upon highways as natural persons. Hold on, Nuggets found his way into the. You are fighting Agent Smith. Yes, hold on. Micah? Yeah, I hear you. Okay, all the doors are closed over here. Not down the hallway, Nugget. All right. Wait up. Gotta make sure all those doors are closed before he goes swimming in the toilet, because he loves messing in that toilet. So again, once you are in your proper person, you can no longer be taxed on your income. You can no longer do business on highways as commerce. You are free to travel. You do not drive, you travel. Okay? So I was talking to my friend yesterday about this whole situation. I don't know if he's on here. He said he was gonna get on here, but I know he's doing his little studies as well, for what he needs to do. But I was talking to my friend, and I was saying how our people don't know law, right? We don't even know the basic fundamentals of law. When you talk about government, and you talk about, all the inner workings, things that we learned in social studies as children, the branches of government, the Senate, and who how things work, and how jobs are delegated, and things. So I asked him, can you name the 10 amendments, the first 10 amendments? Nah, I used to. I know the second one, the right to bear arms. We all know the right to bear arms. So who on here can name the 10 amendments from the back of their hand? I'll wait. Because again, us HBCUs, us Uncle Tom, right? Our 20th century Uncle Toms are so studied, are so well studied and knowledgeable about things, but can they ever tell you without the use of Google what the 10 amendments are, right? And I feel like the first one should be the one, the easiest one to remember, right? It should be the easiest one to remember, the first one. Do 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 do. No, no. So the freedom, not me. I'm Forrest Gump. Yeah, you can't talk. You can't talk, Magi. You can't talk. You can't answer this question. So the freedom of religion, the freedom to protest, the freedom of speech, the freedom of press, that's all under your first amendment. The second one, to keep and bear arms, the right to own your guns. The third one, because again, you have to think about the revolution, and what was happening, what the British were doing. And this is how it's always easy for me to remember these things, right? Is what were the British doing to the Europeans who were here, right? I'm gonna just keep saying here, like I'm with y'all, because I'm with y'all in spirit. What were they doing to the Europeans? And this is how you can always remember. They were restricting their right to protest and assemble. They were restricting their right for freedom of speech. They were restricting their right to practice their religion. They were trying to restrict their right to bear arms so they can rise up against them. They were quartering soldiers. They were placing soldiers on your home. So you're sitting at home and you got a soldier either living in your home. Remember, this is during the time of the Revolutionary War. They were living in your home, or they were perched up on your porch, acting like they lived there with you, right? The fourth is they were searching, unreasonable search and seizure, right? So whenever you're getting pulled over and they're sending the dogs, or they're looking through your car, they're breaking your Fourth Amendment, because it's an illegal search and seizure, because they have to be based on probable cause, and probable cause is not you not having your seatbelt on. That's not probable cause. Probable cause has to do with a crime being committed, and that is not a crime. Like Hannibal said, that is an ordinance. The Fifth Amendment. What is the fifth? I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. But what is the fifth, right? And not just the right to remain silent, it's also, being tried under due process, not incriminating yourself. And that's what you do every time that you speak to these officers, these highwaymen, these police officers. That's what you do every time you speak to them. That's why you're not supposed to talk to the police at all, ever, never, 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 never talk to the police, right? Unless you have an attorney present. But you yourself are supposed to be the attorney. You yourself are supposed to know these laws. You're supposed to know this. These are basic fundamental things that you're supposed to know, right? Am I free to go? Am I under arrest? If I am not under arrest, I do not have to stay there. So, am I free to go? Those are the only things that you should be saying. Am I under arrest? Nah. Am I free to go? Nah. So then what is it? Because you're breaking the law right now. If I am not under arrest, there's no need for me to stand here and talk to you. If I am not free to go, that means I'm under arrest. So arrest me. Arrest me. It should be nothing to be arrested, but people are so afraid of that. They are so afraid. Like I said, rebels with no cause. You want to rebel against the system. You recognize that the system is messed up, but again, you're not doing anything to stop. You're not doing anything to stop it. Or am I being detained? Yes. Am I being detained? Am I under arrest? Am I being detained? The right to a speedy trial, right, and a jury of your peers. Okay, these are things that we need to know, right? Cruel and unusual punishment is another one. Okay, so these things are fundamental for us to know, but a lot of us, and especially a lot of our people, do not know this. And this is the time I'm going to take to go into the miseducation of the Negro, right? Chapter 9, titled "Political Education Neglected." And I'm not gonna, read through the whole thing. I'm just gonna hit key points, right? Micah. Careful. Lift your foot. There you go. Good job. Not long ago, a measure was introduced in certain state legislatures to have the Constitution of the United States thus printed in school histories. But when the bill was about to pass, it was killed by someone who made the point that it would never do to have Negroes study the Constitution of the United States. I'm going to read that part again. Not long ago, a measure was introduced in a certain state legislature to have the Constitution of the United States thus printed in school histories. But when the bill was about to pass, it was killed by someone who made the point that it would never do to have Negroes study the Constitution of the United States. If the Negroes were granted the opportunity to peruse this document, they might learn to contend for the rights therein guaranteed. If the Negroes were granted the opportunity to peruse this document, yes, Nugget, this is what I'm saying. If the Negroes were granted the opportunity to peruse this document, they might learn to contend for their rights therein guaranteed. And no Negro teacher who gives attention to such matters of the government is tolerated in those backward districts. The teaching of government or the lack of such instruction then must be made to conform to the policy of keeping the Negro in his place. If you can control a man's thinking, you do not have to worry about his action. When you determine what a man shall think, you do not have to concern yourself about what he will do. If you make a man feel that he is inferior, you do not have to compel him to accept an inferior status, for he will seek it himself. Boom, one more time. If you make a man feel that he is inferior, you do not have to compel him to accept an inferior status, for he will seek it himself. Again, I am black, I am Negro, I am colored, I am African American. You do not have to tell these people to accept that inferior status of black, because they will seek it out themselves. If you make a man think that he is justly an outcast, you will not have to order him to the back door. He will go without being told. If there is no back door, his very nature will demand one. If you make a man think that he is justly an outcast, you do not have to order him to the back door. He will go without being told. And if there is no back door, his very nature will demand one. Chapter 9, the miseducation of the Negro. So again, claiming they are superior. Yes, claiming they are superior, but accepting inferior statuses. Because, as Carter G. Woodson had explained, because they are accepting this inferior status, how they've been justly accepting this inferior status, their nature will look to be, oh, I have to be inferior. I have to be black. I have to be this. I have to be that. You have to pity me. You have to give me affirmative action. You have to give me the 14th Amendment. All these things are building up cases to keep you out of your proper status, which is what we went back into, right? What we went back into, right? Licenses are issued to those persons without proper status in a land wishing to perform duties that would not otherwise be allowed. So you claiming you're black, you claiming this inferior status, you are now subject to. This is why I teach you all, Hannibal says. My cipher students, the science of hypnosis, Maya, know the power of the words and how to use them. Yes. You see, they said a certain state. They are not trying to say which estate did it. Right, right. So again, you accepting these classifications, these misnomers, these inferior statuses, you then subject yourself to this. So you cannot say that you are black. You cannot say that I am John Smith and try to claim the rights of a natural person, especially our so-called black people, especially the Asiatics, right? You cannot try to claim these rights and still cling to these slave names, like Noble Drew Ali said, right? Holding on to slavery through your Christian names. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's just clashing ideologies. It's clashing ideologies. And they will call you out on it. They will call you out and, oh, this Moorish rhetoric don't work, the sovereign citizen rhetoric don't work, because people don't want to let go of their Christian names, their Christian identities. Oh, I love my last name, you know, Smith or whatever, Johnson. That's how everybody knows me. You know what I'm saying? That's how everybody knows me. So I'm gonna stay that way. That, like, the people are so backwards. You want the freedom, but you will not let go of any of the institutions that are holding you back. And that's the thing. You're continuously trying to keep these institutions that are holding you back. This black stuff, this African American stuff, this improper status. I'm watching him doing the most right now. So. Hey, I don't know if John ended up getting on here, but it's almost an hour into my live feed. It's been 52 minutes right now, talking solely upon the stuff that got me hot. So when people sit there and say they love the worship names, masters, yes, absolutely, absolutely. They hate slavery, but they love their slave names. They want to protect the matrix, the system. Yes, they want it, like Carter G. Woodson just said, right? Their inferior nature makes them want to protect the inferiority that's keeping them in bondage. Because they're scared of any. They fear what they don't understand. They fear the name more, right? They fear the name more because of what they think it's associated with, not knowing that they can do the research themselves and get the association and see what the Moors are really about. That is not some religious cult, which is what they're trying to make it seem. She was indoctrinated. She was brainwashed by this religious cult. She was spittering rhetoric, which she didn't even know about, when you yourself don't even know the law. I think so-called blacks, I'm gonna just correct y'all and your thing. I think so-called blacks nowadays are more lost than in the 90s, sad to say. Because again, you have to recognize at that time you had more people who were into this knowledge, who were preaching it. So if you listen, like I said, when you listen to hip hop, you can hear it, right? You can hear it in hip hop. You can hear Nas. You can hear Tribe Called Quest. I don't know why that just freaking made me go blank real quick. You can hear Tribe Called Quest. You can hear Common. You can hear Talib Kweli. You can hear Mos. You have to remember, these people you want to free, they're also the enemy. Their minds are still linked into the Matrix mind frame. Exactly, which goes to I wouldn't say a documentary, but an interview I was watching with Dr. Kaba, right? Not the one that you sent me, Barrett, but it's another one that I appreciate because I like that one. They were lost then, today they don't want to be found. Right. So Dr. Kaba says in this interview that he does not want to sit here and try to convert people, right? Try to get people to accept this knowledge, right? That people who want to accept this knowledge, that's who he's going to be reaching out to. And then those people like ourselves who are accepting this knowledge, now it is our job to try and because the elders have been doing this all this life, and at this point in time, they don't got any more time to waste, like he says. I don't got no more time to waste on this terror plane to be trying to convince people who do not want to be convinced. We, the younger generation, we got more time, right? And especially with us now, who at a younger age are now learning how to eat properly, learning how to take care of our bodies properly, will be living much longer than our elders, right? And hopefully we can get back to the days of where we would live in hundreds of years. But I feel like that's kind of distant in the future. But we'll be living much longer because we are kind of knowing, and this is one thing about, trends and fads. Like this vegan thing has now become a trend and a fad. X-Clan, Sister Soldier, Paris, Professor Griff, Professor X, Queen Mother Rage, Nefertiti, at Barrett. It's true that we have more information now than ever before. It's crazy. Exactly. But we have all the access to information, but we also have mass distraction. We also have mass deception, right? Mass misconception, mass misinformation. Okay, so these are the things that and a lot of people don't do this, right? A lot of people don't read books because Carter G. Woodson was telling you this. Carter G. Woodson was telling you this, and still our people today are still ignorant to the law, or ignorant to the way that law and our government works, because they were subjected to that, right? They were living and learning in a system that's not supposed to teach them. And he also goes into history, how we're not taught our own history. Okay, so us being ignorant of our history, us being ignorant of the law, makes it so we cannot maneuver in the world today, like many other cultures and many other so-called races, right? How they're able to maneuver because they know their history, they know the law of the land, and they know that, how they're able to maneuver because they have a nation and it all goes back to the nation, it all goes back to your status, it all goes back to you being in your proper person. And this again, what the Moors are trying to, with the correct, the upright, and the active Moors are trying to push on you, right? They're not just trying to tell you, oh, you're not supposed to pay your income tax, you're not supposed to have a driver's license, and not telling you why, and not telling you how. You young cherubs, listen to those artists. Professor X mentioned the Great Seal. Professor Griff mentioned Noble. Exactly. So you had all these hip hop artists who grew up or who are on the street, listening to these teachers, talk, and no matter where they were coming from at this point in time, where you had Pan-Africans, where you had Hebrew Israelites, where you had Moors and stuff like that, it wasn't a big clash. It wasn't a clash of the clans like how we have now, where those Moors don't know what they're talking about, those Hebrew Israelites don't know what they're talking about. Barrett says, yo, it's also hypnosis magic. I can expound better on that than I could. My grandmother can't get off Trump. I can't have a convo without her mentioning the distraction. Facts, right? Because our people love now bringing up Trump. Everything is Trump this and Trump that. When at the end of the day, we don't have to. What Trump is he is, and I recently connected with another Moor in the military, right? And he's breaking it down to me like, the Constitution that they are now protecting, the Constitution that they granted the oath to, is not the same Constitution that we know. Not the same Constitution that is based off the Muslim law, right? It is like, and like how Taj likes to say, we've had a United States government that's been bankrupted, and then they made another United States government of the shell of that United States government. It's been bankrupted, and they keep continually creating these corporations, because at the end of the day, it's a corporation. It's not a nation, right? It's a corporation. And once corporations become bankrupt, they can take that corporation and move it to another one. like many of the mortgage companies, many of the banks, right? They become bankrupted, but that doesn't mean that they're shut down and they're out of business. They just move, right? They move to other subsidiaries, or they get bought out by other ones. They they are anti-constitution. Who's anti-constitution? Barrett. So again, or you're talking about the soldiers. Their constitution that they protect, that they got an oath to, is solely protecting the federal government. And when you think about the federal government, people think about, oh, the entire umbrella of government in the United States of America, right? It's not. Yes, de facto companies. It's not. The federal government is only those, I think it's what, 10 square miles of DC, of Washington District of Columbia. It's only those 10 miles, right? That's where their oath lies. That's where they're taking the oath to, right? Because I was saying to him how, because he was asking me how I think that we could rise up and how I think that we can correct this. And I'm like, well, we have the law to stand on. And yes, the de facto government is anti-constitution, Barrett. We have the law to stand on. And if the law does not prevail, then we take it to other means, right? We take it to the revolutionary means. And this is why we have our Second Amendment, right? Once the First Amendment gets backed upon, once we are no longer able to freely speak out against the government, once we are no longer able to freely protest and assemble, which clearly we're every amendment has been taken away and stripped away. We do not have the right to due process because we are just getting shot in the street without going to trial. We do not have the right to we do not have the right to be protected against unlawful search and seizures because we get searched and our property gets seized every day when these highwaymen and these police officers come in and they search our cars, and then they take our cars, or they search our homes and they take our homes because someone tipped them out about immigrants, or you don't have a seatbelt. Hannibal says, us Moors claimed tax exemption through the federal constitution, Article 1, Section 2, 3, third paragraph. Indians and 3/5 persons are not taxed. That's what Hannibal says. So, damn, Hannibal just threw me all over. But where was I going? Oh yeah, so the only right that we do have that is still available to us in almost its entirety is the right to bear arms, right? But now in certain places it's you cannot own a handgun, like in Massachusetts, right? Where I was falsely licensed or under false pretenses, I licensed myself under Massachusetts, right? To be able to purchase firearms there and to be able to carry the firearms. But again, in Massachusetts, and especially the city of Boston, which is where I was licensed, was the city of Boston, you cannot give, and okay, so we're gonna go against, we're gonna talk about restrictions, right? And restrictions on, again, this is what they're doing. They're licensing and restricting natural rights. Those natural rights are not privileges. They are turning those natural rights into privileges by the licenses and the restrictions that they're putting upon those licenses. So, let me see if I can grab it. Hold on 1 second. Nugget, what you doing? See mommy's wallet? Okay, so here's my old, it should be well, it's gonna expire this year. So here's my license, right? I got my name on there, should probably cover that up. Here's my license. That's correct, Magi. It's on the national ID cards. Oh, I forgot. Hannibal says, us more send our documents with your social security number to district. IRS covers your area. Tell them to place you on file as such, tax exempt. Yes. So boom, right? My license to carry, all men, all male, sent, registered, certified. Yes, certified male. It says Class A, large capacity, right? So that is my restriction. That's my restriction. I'm restricted to only large capacity, which is long rifles, which are your shotguns, which are your rifles, right? Because you cannot conceal it. Well, you can, but it's harder to conceal a shotgun and a rifle than it is a handgun. And handguns, you're only restricted to 10 rounds, right? Again, so they're making these restrictions so it's harder for us to fight against what they have, right? Because their armies have large capacity, they have automatic weapons, and they have mega rounds, right? Rounds of something like 30, 40 rounds. Some even like if you have drums, you have 100 rounds in your drum, right? And this is all firearm terminology. So again, my restriction, I'm restricted to only target and hunting, right? Target practice, which is going to the range, and hunting. Okay, and I had to put some type of restriction down so I could, because I was trying to get the highest amount so I couldn't be restricted as much. Now I have a friend who lives outside of the city of Boston, way outside in the boonies, right? His license allows him to carry concealed now, so he can carry concealed. And in the city of Boston, you're not able to carry concealed unless you're a doctor who has access to prescriptions, because someone can, rob, or a business owner. So someone could rob you of your prescription pad, right, and write prescription for opiates, right? Some European type shit, write prescription for opiates, and go and fill that prescription for opiates. Or you're a business owner who carries large amount of cash. Unless you're those two specific persons, you are not allowed any type of concealed carry within the city of Boston. Because again, who do you have as a high concentration in the city of Boston? You have the so-called poor whites, right? And you have the so-called blacks. Outside of the city of Boston, outside in the boonies, you have the higher class so-called whites and so-called blacks. So they are able to get unrestricted licenses and concealed carry licenses. When I first got into firearms, when I first started purchasing firearms, I had to go across state to New Hampshire. No, psych, I went to Maine. So I went all the way to Maine. That's about a 6-hour drive from Boston. Went to Maine to purchase my firearms, because in there you did not have to have a license to purchase it there, but to transport it, you had to. So I went with my friend who had the concealed carry license, and he went with me, and we went to go buy my first firearm, which was a 308, a Remington 308. And boy, that shit used to kick. And it still does kick, but again, I don't have those here because in Japan, nobody can have firearms unless you are the police or the military. So here is where we see what America is going to look like, or the United States is going to look like, if they keep passing these unconstitutional laws of restricting your right to bear arms, right? First, it was no automatics. Second, it cut down on how many rounds you're able to carry. Now they're trying to push semi-automatics. So at the end of the day, you're going to have like revolvers or single shot shotguns or bolt action rifles, where it's not automatic, where you have to click every time, right? Every time that you're taking a shot, you have to pull back and reload. You have to. So with the bolt action, you're pulling back the bolt. With the shotgun, you're having, shotguns are worse, right? You have to empty your shell, reload, click it back and shoot. Empty your shell, reload, click it back and shoot. With the revolver, it's a single shot. So every time you pull a shot, you have to pull back your hammer again and take another shot. Pull back your hammer again and take another shot. Where and if you're looking at war, right? If you have somebody who has single shot firearms to those who have automatic firearms, who's gonna win in that scenario, right? Who's gonna win? Those people with the automatics who are able to let off 100 rounds in a minute to somebody who only can let off. I don't know what the record is, but for me, it's not. You outgun. Yes, you're outgunned. You outgunned, and it doesn't matter how many people you have on your side. You going it doesn't matter if you outnumber them, you don't outgun them, right? Because they can take down as many, so they're uneven in the odds. So again, that right is now being slowly stripped away because people keep being bamboozled by this whole false flag thing or these whole mass shooter thing, and we never see the full picture, right? We never hear about the stories where these so-called the real crazy people, the real people who go out and murder and try to do mass shootings. We never hear about the people who have firearms, who are licensed firearm carriers, who stop these people from doing damage, right? We never hear about that. We only hear about people who go into places that don't allow firearms, and they let off because no one is there to be able to protect them, which is the crazy part. And we label people who talk like this extremists. We label people who use violent methods as extremists when it was built into our Constitution to be able to protect ourselves, right? To overthrow any tyrannical governments. Which leads me to the third book, right? The third book, To Die for the People, Huey Newton, right? And this is going to go into my last topic. What about these assassin drones they have? Put a pin on that real quick. We're gonna put a pin on that real quick. Nugget don't like to hear about that. So we're gonna go into Huey Newton, right? To Die for the People. The Correct Handling of a Revolution, July 20th, 1967. From In Defense of Self-Defense, Huey Newton's column in the Black Panther newspaper. The section I'm gonna read is about revolution. And again, this talks to those rebels without a cause, right? Those people who say they want to fight against the system. Hannibal says, look into the chaos theory. This is what they are using to erode your gun rights. False mass shooting stage. Yes, false flags. And we'll get into that after I go into this, because we're going to get into that, and then something else that someone showed me. Cardi B's malfunction, or her clone malfunction, and kind of want to dispel that, right? So, but this section that I'm going to read here is tailored to those. Not only Vegas, you got San Bernardino, you got Sandy Hook, you got well, it wasn't a mass shooting, but the Boston Marathon and all those things. So this is tailored to those people who say that, yeah, she's definitely a clone. Come on, stop it. You stop it. We're gonna talk about, because people need to stop. Let me finish this, and I'm gonna go into that, because I'm gonna go skip right over this. But these are tailored to those people who want revolution, but are not willing to give up the things that they need for revolution. And I'm not gonna do spoilers to what Huey Newton was saying back in 1967, okay? And again, this speaks to all these people who are trying to do things in secret, who want to hold this information in little clubs, like how I was saying to y'all with that to Barrett and others with that whole Moore Day in or Morocco Day in Philly, right? Who's really the winner there? Who's really celebratory, right? Just those people in the club who know what's up, right? The Sleepy Moors don't know what's up. The Sleepy Moors got nothing to celebrate, right? This is what I'm saying. You cannot have this type of revolution if you're just withholding the information, okay? So this is what Huey Newton, this is what I got from it. The main purpose of the Vanguard Group should be to raise the consciousness of the masses through educational programs and other activities. The sleeping masses must be bombarded with the correct approach to struggle, and the party must use all means available to get this information across to the masses. In order to do so, the masses must know that party exists. A vanguard party is never underground in the beginning of its existence. That would limit, Nugget be getting hype off of me talking like this. I'm telling y'all, he be getting so hype off of me talking like this. A vanguard party is never underground in the beginning of its existence. That would limit its effectiveness and educational goals. How can you teach people if the people do not know and respect you? How can you teach people if the people do not know and respect you? The party must exist above ground as long as the dog power structure will allow. And hopefully, when the party is forced to go underground, the party's message will already have been put across to the people. The vanguard party's activities on the surface will necessarily be short-lived. Thus, the party must make a tremendous impact upon the people before it is driven into secrecy. By that time, the people will know the party exists and will seek further information about its activities when it is driven underground. Many would-be revolutionaries work under the fallacious notion that the vanguard party should be a secret organization which the power structure knows nothing about, and that the masses know nothing about except for occasional letters that come to their homes by night. Underground parties cannot distribute leaflets announcing an underground meeting. Such contradictions and inconsistencies are not recognized by these so-called revolutionaries. They are, in fact, afraid of the very danger that they are asking people to confront. They are, in fact, afraid of the very danger that they are asking people to confront. These so-called revolutionaries want the people to say what they themselves are afraid to say. These so-called revolutionaries want the people to say what they themselves are afraid to say, to do what they themselves are afraid to do. That kind of revolutionary is a coward and a hypocrite. A true revolutionary realizes that if he is sincere, death is imminent. A true revolutionary realizes that if he is sincere, death is imminent. The things he is saying and doing are extremely dangerous. Without this realization, it is pointless to proceed as a revolutionary. To die for the people, Huey Newton, okay? So again, once you are speaking, and this is what I have always felt, that no matter what, I don't care, and I've already known that I'm already on lists. It's already a fact that I'm on lists. But again, if you are not afraid, then there's nothing about what you're saying that they can stop. It is only when you have fear that they're able to put a stop to you. It is only when you have fear that they're able to infiltrate you and switch you over to their side. Those people who are COINTELPRO, those people who are agents, is because they are fearing for their lives, right? Once you are a revolutionary, like Corinne Gaines, and this is what I said about her, that she was a revolutionary who kind of went about things the wrong way. She was all over the place, and she didn't have all of her eggs she put all her eggs in one basket. She didn't have anything lined up, okay? So once you are a revolutionary, you know that death is imminent, as Huey Newton says. That until we as a people can move as a unit, that once we single out people, once we single out ourselves as fighting for the cause and no one else is to back us up, we know that especially ourselves, our death is imminent. And when we can confront that and when we can accept that, we know, like, yo, I know for a fact that I would rather die than to go back to being asleep, to betray my people. I can't betray my, and I'm gonna do everything in my power, though, however, to protect my children. So, and leaving them the keys, right? Because we know these people like to take out bloodlines. Not only do they take out the head, but they take out, they take out the parents, so they cannot further make any more children who believe under these things, and then take out the children's children, so you kill the whole line, right? But like I said, you cannot have the type of revolution that you want when the information is solely being, spread amongst those who know. Because the information has to be spread amongst those who don't know. Peace, Simon Smith. The information has to be spread amongst those who don't know. And those are the people that we have to target, not the people who already know. We can't go sharing videos of a celebration in Philly to celebrate the Morocco Day. However important that is, whatever small step of a win that is, not for us. It's not for the Moors. It's for the people who are awake, who recognize it. It's not for the sleepy Moors. The sleepy Moors did not benefit from that because they have no idea what significance that holds to them at all. Why are we celebrating a West African country here in America, is what they're saying. Why are we celebrating a West African country here in America? Because they have no idea of what the significance that was. And we're going around saying, oh, this is a big win. Oh, look at how great this is. Blah, blah, blah. Instead of showing, we're showing this video without giving it context. We're showing this video so we can use social media as a way to spark this revolution, right? But if you're not giving context to people, if you're not telling people the reasoning behind this, and every time that you make a post about the Moors, that you have to try to include, to speak not only to the Moors, but to speak to the sleepy Moors. You can't just speak to us 8 people and know that, right? That's why I'm making this, and I share it out to my social media, because I know I have a lot of sleepy Moors on there, in the hopes of one of these days that they will come and kind of learn something. Talking about celebrations, what is your stance on the Black Panther movie craze in our community? Okay, so I'll touch on Black Panther, and I'm gonna touch on the clone thing. So that was kind of the main things I wanted to talk about. Are people not knowing law? Are people kind of under the assumption that they know things, but they know very, very little about the fundamentals that kind of post through the 20th century Negroes, right? And going into and studying case laws, that things that have been in existence for a while now, right? The right to travel has been in existence, has been as a case law for a while now. This little boy, oh my God. Go ahead. I want to see if he does this, because if he does this, my little nugget is a beast right now. I'm telling you, he's climbed on top of the couch, and now he's trying to climb into his playpen where all his toys are. I want to see if this little boy can do this without hurting himself, because if he is, he's a beast. And you stuck, huh? I gotta show y'all this. Oh, he got in there. He got in there. Oh my God. Let me show y'all this. He got stuck. Look at him stuck. Go ahead. Get yourself unstuck, Nugget. Yay! Yeah, good job, Nug. I got trouble on my hands. I'm gonna let y'all know that right now. I just have to show y'all that real quick, because this is the stuff that I deal with on the daily. Oh, a little goofy behind. Yes, good job, Nugget. All right, so that was the basic the law and the history thing that I kind of went into there. He is something else, man. All right, so Black Panther, real quick, because I think I touched upon this a few times in the videos before, but I'm gonna give you a basic rundown. give him big angelic hugs for me and Daddy. I definitely will. I do every day. I do every day, Hannibal. So, I'm saying he get into so much trouble. So, with Black Panther, right? And you have people who are kind of on both sides of the fence. People who are hype because it's a so-called black movie, right? With all an all black cast, right? And then you have people who say that, you know, it's a movie with the all black cast. However, it is funded by, and the people who are going to be making the money are Europeans, are the Europeans. Hey King, I was just thinking like, yo, where you been? You've been MIA. I just kind of went in on some real heavy shit. So now I'm going to the lighter stuff. So you have people who are for it, and then you have people who are like, okay, well, it's still the European making money. Here's my idea. Here's my take on it, right? Like I said, I'm a comic book fan, and I was aware of Wakanda and T'Challa before the Avengers. I read the Marvel comics and stuff. Working but sick. Oh, I hope you feel better. And I've been into their thing, and you know, I love I love his whole story. And my whole thing is I always wanted to see what Wakanda looked like beyond the pages of the comic book, right? Because as fans of comic books or anime, we always or manga, we always want to see it. Barrett says they talking about a petition for 25% to go to charities within exactly. Yeah, I seen that, and I'm gonna touch on that too. But I always wanted to see what Wakanda would look like on live action and on the big screen, and this is what comic book fans and manga fans always, you know, anticipate. That we anticipated see to go to screen or to go into TV shows, and we anticipate the manga to go to anime and see it in live action. So I've always wanted to see what Wakanda would look like when they put it on the big screen. And what I keep telling people is that this is not a so-called black movie. The only thing black about Black Panther is his suit. That is it. Because black is an adjective. Black is an adjective that describes the noun. The black is describing his panther suit, which is the noun. And I told them that it is not a black movie because T'Challa is not black. He's from Wakanda. He's a Wakandian. So I would be very surprised if any of the characters, and then this is how you would know, okay, there's always we already know that there's stuff that, you know, they kind of try to reinforce through us, right? Try to reinforce our inferiority, as Carter G. Woodson was talking about. So, but I would be very surprised if any of them describe themselves or use the word black to describe themselves when they have a nationality. So, it can go either way. But, so Nugget, you mean to tell me you can climb into your playpen, but you can't get from under the table without bumping your head, you goof? You goofy? So I would be very surprised to see if they call themselves black at all, because they have a nationality. But them having a nationality would go right over the people's head, because we always assume black as the race and black as the skin color. And we assume anybody with that same kind of skin tone calls himself black, when we have already discussed that that's not true. Get your nose. Okay, you want mommy's pen? Yes. You go right. Here. He said, he said, nah. So, so you have that fact, right? Where you think that's mostly Black America that thinks like that. Exactly. Anybody with black skin is automatically black when black is the status, right? That Wakanda is a nation and that T'Challa has the nationality of Wakandian. That's going to go right over people's heads. Unless they recognize, or maybe this is what the Moors were talking about. Maybe this is what all those Moor people were talking about, is having a nationality. And you see, and the people who kind of denounce it, Wakanda is real. It's a village in Illinois. Yeah. If you know anything about Stan Lee, you know that he watched us very closely, and that he mirrors a lot of his Marvel characters off our people. That all the superpowers, all the mythological factors, all the stories that he tells, it's mirrored off of our people. So again, these people watch us very closely, and you know, they watch us so closely, and they give us these stories. Yes, Magneto is Malcolm X, and Professor X is Martin, and so on and so forth. But again, it goes deeper than just those two. Like literally, all of that is based off of our science, our more science. Come on this side. Stop it, Nugget. Stop it. Yeah. So that is based off of all our more science, and again, that's the type of stuff that's gonna go over people's heads. But the main thing is for me is seeing what a world would look like if the Moors had never been conquered, if the Moors didn't forget who they were. That's what I'm interested in seeing, because that is what Wakanda is, right? Wakanda is the epitome of a nation in the Marvel universe, right? Wakanda is the epitome of technological advances, is the epitome of high government, is the epitome of all that is kind of wrong in the Marvel universe. You see it all right in Wakanda. That's kind of what I want to see, and it gives kind of like an insight to what the world would look like had we stayed in power, had we not given up our nationalities, had we not become Black, Negro, and colored. Okay, so you could kind of liken Wakanda to the Moorish Empire. You got to be careful, Nug. Non-breathing self. Professor X is based off a real man, European name, Dr. Milton Eckerson. Wasn't it? I feel like that was Magneto's name, wasn't it? I forget, because it's been so long since I read their we be going like at first, then when we see Moors, see the subs, we be going oh, you talking about the movie? Exactly, but really, I didn't know that. Didn't know what? Are you talking about what Hannibal said, or what I said? Are you cool now, Nugget? Milton Eckerson made conversation hypnosis. DC is going to film Red Lion at some point. Exactly, because as we see and as we know that this woke thing, this conscious thing is a trend. Damn, you read that? I can't really read emoji faces, Barrett. What am I supposed to make the emoji face? We first go in like, and then come out like like what do you want me to do? It's hard to translate emojis into words. So saying first we go in skeptical and then we come out all happy. Is that better for you, Barrett? Like, geez, don't play me like that. Don't play me like that, Barrett. Barrett trying to play me like I'm somebody else. You know who I am. No, so let me stop. So yeah, we be going like, but fam, stop it. You don't come at me, yo. All these companies are playing off the woke conscious energy. Yes. All this X-Men talk who be trying to float in the bed. What? What M? Hi M, welcome. Welcome, you finally catching the live. You good, Barrett. You know I'm just messing with you. So yeah, so this whole Black Panther thing can be taken. You are hella late. This whole Black Panther thing can be taken both ways. Are we speaking in emojis now? Facts. Well, our we are used to speaking in symbols. That's what. Yeah, speaking in hieroglyphics. See, you just took it right out of my mouth. More comedy. We're used to speaking in symbols, and that's how we used to communicate. So the emoji thing is kind of bringing that back. So again, the whole Black Panther thing, you can either take it either way, right? You can take it for the surface of just being an entertaining movie, which it should be super entertaining. And I'm very, 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 very interested to see if they are going to call themselves Black, if they are going to use my dumb ass be trying to float in the bed thinking I'm special when I just go to sleep sometimes, and don't judge me. You need to tell Hannibal to teach you how to astral project. So we can go on the surface, we can go on the surface thing. But like I said, I'm interested to see if they call themselves Black. I'm interested to see if they use the terminology that so-called Black people use, like it's lit. I'm very interested to see if they try to put that vernacular in. Micah, you don't have to climb in there. Oh my God. I opened the playpen for you. You don't have to climb in there again. Yeah, this little boy. So I'm interested to see if they use any of those terms that are vernacular in the movie, or will they keep it, kind of it. I hope they don't either, because that would just kind of ruin the whole experience for me. This whole getting the playpen thing is gonna be a problem. I know it's gonna be a problem. So yes, that's the whole blank, and people always like to get up in arms again because we are emotionally tied to the fact that it's a so-called all Black cast. We are always emotionally tied to that, and we don't see, yes, astral projection. I talked about that before in one of my previous lives. I have a few things other that I wanted to talk about. I'll circle back to that if we have the time. So the whole Black Panther thing is kind of emotionalism. Like, no one gets the subs that it's during Black History Month. Again, using the kind of emotions that we love to play into as so-called Black people. We love to play into the emotionalism of things. We love to play to the symbolism of things, to the significance of things, right? When we kind of miss the whole fact that he's not Black. Black Panther is only for the suit, and then you have the Europeans who think it's a Black Panther movie like Huey Newton and Fred Hampton. They start thinking it's that type of Black Panther, and they get mad at the fact that it's called Black Panther. Did you title it Astral Projection? I'll go back and look at it. No, I titled it something. I know that don't help you. I titled it shit, what did I title it? I think it was I don't remember. It's somewhere. Why don't we support brothers that are doing mangas the same way we are this film? And that's another good point, King, because I said the same thing. I hope we have this energy. I'll do my research. Thank you, by the way. No problem. Pretty sure if you type in actual projection, you get a whole bunch of Europeans talking to you about it when it's our stuff, okay? And this is what I was talking about in that video. I think it was something from birth to death or something like that, how they try to program us from birth to death, something like that. Birth to death in one of my video titles or something like that. So again, the Europeans always take this information and take this knowledge and act like it was them that discovered it. But when it's actually, in actuality, our stuff. So again, with the whole Black Panther thing, I was saying that I hope we have the same type of energy when another one of our people try to produce a movie, direct a movie, hire actors who are Asiatic Moors. I hope we have that same energy and not try to bash them like we did dude with the Nat Turner movie, right? Because then we start going back into their history. Yeah, they have astral projection videos on YouTube. It can help you travel. Yes. Wasn't you in on that live? I feel like you was in on that live, or maybe it was Martinez that was talking about how do you astral project, and I said that I had never been astral projection. Birth of a Nation is a flop. Yes. Do you think people from Jamaica, West Indies are more twos? Yes, they are. Yes, they are, because Jamaica is part of the Americas. The so-called West Indies are part of the Americas. So we are all Moors. If you look at headdresses, right, in South America, if you look at Inca headdresses, or if you look at Mayan headdresses, they are fezzes. They are fezzes. People like say, oh, those are funny looking hats. But if you look at them, they are fezzes that they are wearing. They are Moors as well. And the whole world knows this. It's only the sleepy Moors and so-called blacks in America that don't know this. Yeah, it was me asking about, yes, it was you asking about astral projection. They are Maroons. But who are the Maroons? The Maroons are the Moors. They're still the Moors. Jamaicans, Cubans, it's just all of them is Mexicans and Cubans have more can claim more Moorish Americanism than anybody else. Mexican, Cubans, in terms of Latin. Speaking of Caribbean, what is your opinion on Carnival? I remember going to Carnival mad times in Boston. I got so many stories about those things. I mean, we've always had rituals, right? They did wrong. Birth of a Nation film. Yes, the islands are Moors, and it's part of America. Yeah. So, so we didn't support the dude with the Birth of a Nation, and that was produced by our people. But we hear something about him way back when, and we were like, oh no, we can't support this dude because he did, I forgot, whatever was they said he was doing, sexually assaulting somebody or molesting somebody. I don't really remember. I don't pay attention to that shit. But I was like, our people always give excuses to why we don't want to support our own people. But at the same time, where you have Nicki Minaj's brother who was a molester, a child molester, and how she supported her brother, we kind of sweep that under the rug, right? Or how R. Kelly's a child molester, and we sweep that under the rug. We love R. Kelly. Oh, he's such a great musician. Blah, blah, blah. Like, come on. I seen the meme that said, I can feel the black feminists plotting against the Black Panther movies. Why would they plot against the Black Panther movie? It was turned last night, this morning. That's why I'm kind of slowed down right now. Man, would love to see Carnival, those beautiful sisters. Wow. Yes, Carnival was mad turnt. In Boston, sadly, we can't ever have Carnival without somebody getting shot, because that's what we do. Everybody be getting high and drunk and then be shooting up people during Carnival when we're supposed to be having fun, winding up the thing and all that stuff. So yes, Carnival was super fun for me in Boston, and then going to New York. I remember Salute Hannibal. Yes, it was lit today. Yes, I remember going to New York and the Carnival in New York. Oh yeah. I don't know if New York be getting shot up like that, but I remember going to the Carnival, well yes, in Brooklyn, the Carnival in Brooklyn, New York, and I think that was like one of my first times like going to New York without we had an ISIS threat though, but nothing happened. We had an ISIS threat, and there's always an ISIS threat. Yes, Caribbean parades. Um, I mean, New York is, greasy like that anyways. But I went to go see Red Tails and Birth of a Nation. I went to go see Red Tails and Birth of a Nation when they first came out. The carnival of New York is a zoo, first time and last time I went. I mean, the carnival, because it's such a big city, and then, you have all the Caribbeans there. The carnival in New York for me was just beautiful because it was a real big thing, right? But the funny thing about it is you got the carnival in Brooklyn, and you got them Ashkenazi Jews watching all of us, all the Moors, all the real Jews winding up the thing, and they're just sitting there just watching us with their little hats and their little braids coming down the side of their faces and their little. I just thought the juxtaposition of that was hilarious. Like here you have us, half naked, winding up on each other. I'm in Florida now, been here 5 months, and it's cray here too. Yeah, because you got all the Caribbeans down there, but you got us half naked, winding up on each other, throwing water, throwing sand and dirt and color paint all over each other, and then you got the, you got the Ashkenazi Jews like watching and seeing, oh, here go these Negros. Every year they go and do this type of stuff. Did they have Juve in NY? No, I feel like in everywhere they have carnival, they got Juve. They always got Juve. So in Boston we got Juve, and I'm pretty sure in New York they got Juve too. So yeah, it was my first time in New York, and this is when I was 15, maybe 14 or 15 years old. It has to be 14 or 15 years. I went to New York with my friend back then, and she's Trini. Um, so I went with her, and I get into a whole bunch of things that I shouldn't have been getting into at 14 years old. You know, um, yeah. We're not gonna go into how much of a bad influence she was on me, but again, those are my decisions I took, so I can't blame somebody else for the decisions I made. But it was fun. It was an experience, and that's when I recognized that it's always trash day in New York. It doesn't matter what day it is; it's always trash day in New York. But yeah, so boom. I don't know how we went from Black Panther to Carnival. I don't know what the connection what the connection was there, but hopefully there was a connection in there somewhere. I'm talking about the Ashkenazi Jews. I guess that's the connection. That's the connection for us. So the whole Cardi B is a clone thing, right? And this because of that, and another story that my mom told me. My mom told me, and again, she's in Boston, and she said the so-called black woman in Brockton stabbed up her babies, a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old, to some Illuminati ritual. A ritual. She said that she was the woman said that she was doing some type of Illuminati ritual, and she had to stab up her baby, and the first baby that she stabbed up, she said she did it wrong, so she started over again on the second baby and stabbed up the baby for some Illuminati ritual. And again, this is the thing that I'm talking about, that we are so misinformed as a people, and we know nothing of what we think we know. Like, we think we're so smart, we think we so hip, we think we so woke to shit, and to know. And I was like, yo, I wish I was on her wow, she did it wrong. Yeah, I wish I was on her like little execution team, because I would love to be one of the first people. And I'm not a violent person like that, I'm not like that. But when you do stuff to babies, and especially now with me being a mother, I feel wisdom flexing Negroes love doing that. Yeah, copping out, oh, I did some Illuminati ritual because everybody's on the Illuminati. Everybody thinks Illuminati is Satanism and such and such. When you do that to children who have no concept to think that their mother would do that to them, right? Because they depend. Yes, she did. They depend on their mom, right? They see their mother as their protector. So for a mother to take advantage of that, and what she did, she had two other older children who are, I think, about teenagers that she sent off to live with her mother. And so you're not going to be able to get away with that with teenagers. Our people are sick, man. What does it take to wake up? Exactly. Um, and I'm not a violent person. I'm not a malicious person, but I wish I was on her execution team, because I would do exactly everything she did to her children. I would do to her, and I would make sure that she ain't dead. Like, you gonna survive all of that. Like that. In those cases, I'm okay for cruel and unusual punishment. You suspend that. You suspend that amendment. Forget about that, because those type of people, like, karma needs to affect them. You're not gonna sit there and plead insanity, because you know damn well what you were doing. Insane people don't have the concept of doing something, to the point where like all these people pleading insanity. Like, I think there was another case. That's some non-vegan shit to do. Only non-vegan. Shut up and get out of here with that. Then that hurt my heart to hear this. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Hannibal. I know you're empathetic, and so am I. But this is where it's you don't sit back and be passive. You know what I'm saying? You don't like, as much as you talk about being peaceful and all that stuff, there comes a time where peace ain't the answer. And these people got to recognize that you don't get to plead guilty and get away with that while your children are dead, and they're no longer on this earth plane. But you get to live and be in a sane asylum because you're pleading guilty because the Illuminati told you to do it. The same thing with this European girl who Martina says, I agree too that the pedosexuals, I think harsher penalties suffice. Children are vulnerable and so trusting, and they would literally lay down to get stabbed. Yes, exactly. And that's my point. Like, you can't, universal language seems to be terror. I wouldn't say the universal language, but again, like I said, everything is a balance. Everything just can't be peaceful, because once shit like this happens, it's in turn for karmic retribution. Yeah, just like More Comedy says, just like fast money, these individuals do certain things just to hack the system, just to get things faster. Exactly. Where we think we can take advantage of the system and use it to, we do it all the wrong way, right? When we can use the system to advantage, we don't. We say that's pseudoscience. That Moorish BS, right? But when it comes to stuff like this, I'm gonna plead insanity. Yo, I'm a priest, but I will tell you, we need to do a gene pool cleaning in our community. Listen here, Hannibal, because, like I said, that European got an idea from a meme. I don't know if y'all heard this, the Slender Man or something like that, the Slender Man meme. And she said that the Slender Man said that she had to stab up another little European girl, because if not, that the Slender Man was gonna come and get her. And then they were trying to plead insanity. Like, no, you don't get to plead insanity. You do not get to plead insanity in those cases and try to get away with it and go live in a mental institution. That's not gonna happen. Not on my watch. That's what I'm saying. I wish I was there, because, girl, you getting sentenced to Guantanamo Bay where they're sitting there, spraying you naked and electrocuting you and putting you in funny positions and making you do all type of silly stuff. More Comedy says, yep, if you plant pain in the universe, pain is gonna come back tenfold. Exactly. Barrett said, told you, a great stoning is coming. I got mine already. Barrett been talking about stoning people forever. Think about it. You are insane to do that kind of crazy stuff. But see, what they're doing is they're pleading insanity. They plead insanity because they know they're gonna get away with it. They're gonna escape the death penalty, which is complete bullshit. I don't feel like they should be able to. Shut up, girl said that. Yeah, she did say that, Hannibal. I try to understand things so bad. I chalk things up to mind control. It has to be this world. This world is so evil. A crystal stoning. And be mindful of the stuff you use to justify your brutality. They will have to use it exactly. So, again, this our people being kind of programmed. Madara, meteorite stoning, yin and yang both is good and bad. Exactly, because there's this world does not just basically go upon evil, and this world does not basically go upon good. It's a I got red bricks. It's a balance of things. So this goes to what my thing is, the misconception of people have of these secret societies and them grouping in, the Illuminati, and them grouping in the Freemasons with this type of stuff, when it's like with crystal work or with anything, you can use it for good or for evil. And we like to just associate Illuminati with strictly evil. We like to associate all the ancient symbolism that we have, that our people used, and we like to associate that with European and the evil stuff that they be doing, with our symbols, and the perverted stuff that they be doing with our symbols. So Freemasons got hijacked, exactly. As all these secret societies got hijacked. When we think of a cult, we think of Satanism. There is a ma'at to everything, exactly. When we think of a cult, we think of Satanism. When occultism is just basically whatever they couldn't study out without fear of being, labeled a witch, or fear of being labeled a demon or whatever, you know because these people didn't have the concept of anything outside of, Catholicism and Christian religion, and what the church was doing to them, you know at that time of cult is a culture, at that time where, the world was kind of bursting with information, and kind of recognizing the ties between, the spiritual and the scientific, that anything scientific is just the study of nature, and then nature is just spirit. That's all it is. That's the connection between spirituality and science. Spirituality is nature. Nature is science, studies nature. That's your connection there. So the church tried to divide that connection, because if you make that connection, that the science is the study of nature and nature is spirituality, then you kind of don't need the church anymore. You can just like how we don't need attorneys to decipher the law. The true meaning of the word occult is hidden truth. Exactly. And what truth did they try to hide? What truth did they try to hide? That we did not need the church, that the church is just there to kind of divide us and to keep us programmed as a control system. So we kind of don't study enough into what the cult is, and we don't study enough into what the so-called Illuminati is, and we kind of just base it upon the YouTube videos that we watch. So now this is touching upon the whole Cardi B thing, right? Where we're saying that she's a clone. And what we have to realize is that there's a difference between a clone, and then there's a difference between MK Ultra. Peace, Sister Sahar. There's a difference between being a clone, and then there's a difference between being under MK Ultra. Cardi B, she is a clone. Please break that down. Okay, so there was a video going out, where she was on the red carpet and she was answering questions. Speaking of hidden truth, Quincy Jones exposed some things. Quincy Jones is saying stuff so he could save his own behind, because things that he was saying, like the stuff that he was saying about Michael Jackson. Oh, Michael Jackson hated his self, hated his skin. That's why he was bleaching his skin, and Michael Jackson, stole these songs from people, Barrett says, side note, my mom had a dream and she said that she got burned alive by Europeans and they was yelling she's a witch. My mom, I said, Mom, you wasn't a pale face in your past life. So, damn, what the hell was I saying? Damn it, Barrett, with your side notes. What was I saying? Anyways, so with the, oh yeah, Quincy Jones, thank you. Which means wise woman. So Quincy Jones was saying that how Michael Jackson stole all these songs from people and that he needed to do all this and that with his songs, but people kind of neglect the fact that Quincy Jones was producer of the songs that he's talking about that Michael Jackson stole. So who stole the song? Quincy Jones. Who was there doing producing Quincy Jones? You were. So how you gonna throw somebody under the bus when you had a part in it too? Again, we always have to look at the hidden agendas and the motives behind. He was in the studio the whole time. Thank you. He was in the studio the whole time. And if you talk to engineers, or if you read up on engineers or what they talked about, Michael Quincy Jones is a bitter old man. Yes, he is, and he wants to hide the fact or distract people from the fact that he's a booty warrior, as Hannibal likes to say. He tried to commandeer Tupac's booty. You know what I'm saying? He tried to commandeer Tupac's booty. He don't want people talking about that anymore, so he's gonna throw shade at Michael Jackson. Where Booty Man Jones, as I said, Quincy Booty Man Jones, he produced Donna Summers and Billie Jean. That's what he was saying. That was it Billie Jean? Or yes, Billie Jean was copied off of Donna Summers' song. Thank you, Quincy. Need to talk about how Tupac said he gay. Exactly, but he won't. So he gonna talk about Michael Jackson after he already dead. So you have somebody who's saying, oh, he stole his song, da, 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 but you were there being a producer. And anybody would tell you that Michael was so in depth and so connected to his art and his craft and his music that not only did he write, why he wait till everybody has passed before he said something? Exactly, because they can't defend themselves that way. They can't say, hey, Quincy Jones, you try to take my booty from me. Nah. They gonna wait till they he gonna wait till they dead before he try to say anything. Michael Jackson was very in depth in his craft, and he from the lyrics to which he was writing to actually the beat and the sound that he wanted. Y'all know that Michael beatbox, right? Take my booty from he wanted to take their booty hole, because what did we talk about before? That's the initiation, right? That's the initiation into then gonna go at Richard Pryor. Exactly. That's the game. We can't find out what really happened to JFK and MLK until Bush Sr. dies. I find it interesting how that interview vanished. Exactly. about Booty Man Jones, how that interview of Pac vanished. Exactly. Ain't it funny? It all been happening on Black History Month. Exactly. Richard Pryor been said he F dudes. For facts, like 4 facts. And the fact of the matter is, going back to Michael Jackson used to be beatboxing. Michael Jackson would sit there and beatbox how exactly he wanted his, and he didn't play all these instruments, and he wasn't proficient in playing the instruments, but he played the instrument of his mouth. That was instrument. So he would say how he wanted it. Quincy is a booty warrior, 2-piece combo. Exactly. So yeah. So Quincy booty warrior, booty hole, booty pirate, Commandeer Jones. I mean, like, and people feed into this because we love the gossip. We love to hear about as if Michael Jackson had not suffered enough. Right? In Hollywood. Exactly. We talked about Hollywood and the things that they have to do. Richard Pryor talked about busting and palm. Yo. Ew. Can we not? Bro, y'all be coming up with some crazy stuff for me, man. He's a booty thug. Yeah. Listen here. Like as if Michael Jackson didn't go through enough while he was living, right? Now we gotta slander him when he dead. Don't these people know you're not supposed to talk about the ancestors? It doesn't matter. You're not supposed to talk about the ancestors. Talk about them while they're alive, right? Like how we do R. Kelly. We put R. Kelly on this pedestal, right? But when he's dead, that's when we'll start talking about, well, he used to date little girls. He married Aaliyah when she was 15. He used to sit outside of Chicago schools waiting for little girls. But now he's such a great, while he's alive, he's such a great songwriter. We love R. Kelly. Scopolamine is a drug in Colombia. It's so strong you could have it in the palm of your hand. So what women do is have the drug in their palm. They pass their hand by your nose as if they're flirting with you, and you're under her mind control. Wow. Barrett said, "How old is 15 really?" For real. But we'll sit there and put him on a pedestal. I love R. Kelly. He's such a great, he's just such a great songwriter. Da, da, da. Where do the Moors come from? What country? What country don't they come from? That's a bigger question. That's a better question. What country don't the Moors come from? Because the Moors Pied Pee Piper, exactly. Yeah, when R. Kelly passed on, they're going to know how he did it, because all those little girls is going to be at his funeral. For real. You'll have little girls everywhere. But to answer Simon's question, where don't the Moors come from? Because the Moors are everywhere. Like I said, you look up the Incan Indians headgear. Look up the headdresses of the Maya. Look up, and this is y'all say what? Women put something in their hands. Yeah, that's what he said, Magi. To get whoever they're flirting with under mind control. I think that's crazy. I gotta look that up. So yes, so look up those headdresses and then look at a fez and tell me if those are not fezzes that they're wearing. They are Moors. They are Moors as well, and that's over here in the Americas. They are not just from Morocco. That's not just who the Moors are. The Moors were in existence before the state of Morocco came about. So that should let you know that the Moors go beyond Morocco. That Morocco is not the beginning and the end of the Moors. That the beginning and the end of the Moors was not 711 to 1492. That the beginning of the Moors was not in the 1920s with the Honorable Noble Drew Ali. That the Moors have been here before Drew Ali, before the Moors' conquest of Europe. Teach sis. Sahar said, teach sis. I'm trying. And we going everywhere again. Be bouncing everything. I'm cool with that because it all ties together. So yes, the Moors are everywhere, Simon, and there's hardly anywhere that the Moors were not. So Barrett said it's a stone sculpture with the fez on in Panama. Yeah, exactly. Hannibal says us Moors are from here. Lemurian occupied this land mass. Plus they occupied Lemurian that existed in the Pacific Ocean. Yeah, exactly. So we've been here, we've been around, again, like I said, before the state of Morocco existed. Again, so this whole Morocco Day, who is that really who really won there? Who's the winners there? And who is there to celebrate it? Who is that winner? Because to me, like I said, it's a club. The club won. The club of those Moors who are in the no one. The sleepy Moors didn't win because the sleepy Moors don't know what the heck y'all are talking about. And that's who I'm talking. I'm not fighting for the Moors who already know. Nah, I'm fighting for the Moors who don't know. I'm fighting for the sleepy Moors who don't know. So again, let's get, because I did the whole history and stuff like that at the beginning half. Now we're trying to get into the almost kind of lighthearted stuff. So Moors are children of the Lemurian nation. We did hybrid experience to create the European. Hannibal changed his name to Magi. Yes, he did. Because somebody blocked his page, he says. They didn't say shit because we been deep out here, flag in hand. What are you talking? They didn't say shit because we would have been deep out here, flag in hand. What are you talking about, Barrett? So again, okay, so with the Cardi B thing, I want to get this real quick out the way, and then we can kind of dive what they did. I don't know what y'all talking about. Y'all gotta be specific, because I can't scroll all the way back and forth in Philly. Yeah. That's what he said. Hannibal says somebody blocked his page, and I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to help Hannibal figure out. Did they block his page from a certain YouTube channel, or did they block his whole YouTube channel? And that's what I was asking you, Hannibal, in my text message this morning. Whether they blocked your comments from a certain page. Yeah, we'll go into Cardi B. Whether they blocked your comment from a certain page or Barty B, or whether your whole account was blocked, because that I don't know why your whole account would be blocked. So yes, Cardi. So she was on the red carpet, and again, this is gonna, if you have been studying this type of stuff, which I have been studying this type of stuff for a long time, you can't post on who's, can you post on my video? Try posting on my video from that page. That's really crazy to me. That's real crazy. And I don't think certain people have that reach to make you not be able to post on other people's pages. You talking about when she almost shit herself? When did she almost shit? I'm talking about on the red. If you talking about that same thing, so, and this is what I'm saying with people who have been into this type of knowledge, we know the difference between clone malfunctions, and we know the difference between MK Ultra. YouTube is on their third cleanse. Well, shit. I hope I don't get cleansed. I hope I don't get cleansed out this B. So, so we know the difference between, and what I saw. So Cardi B was on the red carpet. No, they don't. Comments should be on hold for review also. Exactly. But he's saying he can't comment on and I don't think anybody's video. So Cardi B was on the red carpet, and they was talking to her, asking her questions of how she felt about no, I cannot. Yeah, people have the reach to block you. I've seen video documentaries. Well, I don't know who would be blocking you and for why. That's really silly. But like I said, you always got my page, Hannibal, if you want a platform so that they can't touch. Not saying that they can't touch me, but that it's not Hannibal Bay's page. That it's Unify the World's page, and Hannibal just be on it talking. So M says, yeah, Hannibal, and once you're high, they would ask you for your credit card or debit card, and you're going to give it to them, whatever they ask for. YouTube must be YouTube drones. Or the woman would say, let's go to your, oh, he's talking about that drug or whatever. So Cardi B was on the red carpet, and they asked her a question about how she was feeling, and she's saying how she's nervous and shaky and something, and she said something, and she paused, and it looked like she spaced out for a little bit, and then she came back. So that to me signified MK Ultra, because in MK Ultra they have trigger words, and those trigger words trigger you and trigger your split personality, or trigger your DID, your dissociative ID, dissociative identity disorder, and so that's what it looked like to me. It did not look like she was cloned, because clones have malfunctions. They don't have space out moments. So if you look up clone and malfunction, you'll see like how Wendy Williams, right? That was a clone malfunctions. Not only did she space out, but her body started malfunctioning. Cardi B's body didn't malfunction. She just spaced out because it was a trigger word. She said a trigger word, or somebody said a trigger word around her. But I think it was actually because she's most deaf and MK Ultra victim. She has too much. Exactly. She speaks her mind too much, and she didn't get into this industry. I didn't know there was a difference. Oh yes, there's a difference. There's a huge difference. Cloning is you're no longer that person. MK Ultra is you are that person. However, you have a schism in your mental. You have a schism to where you dissociate with yourself. I just said clone because it was weird, but this is what I'm saying. What our people have to understand is the terminology, and like I said, when you're in into this type of stuff. Like I said, I've been in this for 10 years, so I can see the difference, and I can see what is a clone malfunction. Like I said, that whole Wendy Williams episode. Not only does she space out, but her body started malfunction because she's the clone. Hillary Clinton. We remember when they said that she was sick, or she had a cold or pneumonia or something, whatever, or the flu or some bull that they try to pull to why her clone body was malfunctioning. She started doing all of this twitching stuff. That's a malfunction. When you have MK Ultra and someone says the trigger word, and look into MK Ultra, they have the trigger words. Barrett, go watch. Right out my mouth, I swear to God, King, right out my mouth, because I was just about to say, if you watch the movie Manchurian Candidate with Denzel Washington, you'll see exactly how MK Ultra works. Freaking King, quick with it, man. So you'll see how MK Ultra works, to where yes, it is a great movie. His trigger, so you remember, his trigger was his name. So they said, is this, damn, I forgot his name. Is this Denzel? Yes. Is this Denzel Washington? Yes. Is this Colonel Denzel James Washington? And then that was it. Then he just spaced out, and he was ready to be programmed with whatever his mission was. That's how MK Ultra works. So they use the trigger words because they use pain, right? They use pain, and with our bot now, I don't remember. I'm gonna have to go back and watch. Yes, because the movie was really weird until they got to the part where they started exposing the experiments they did. Yes, it's a must watch. They started exposing the law of delayed action is the fourth hypnotic law. Yes, so they started exposing the experiments they did to them while they was in the military to program them as these kind of assassins, right? As these killers, to where they won't be able to testify or recognize anything, because it's a whole separate identity that's been compartmentalized. And that's what happens. So when our bodies are under intense pain, when we experience crazy trauma, real question, being a vegan should fix all this nonsense or block from being programmed? No, there's no amount, because what you eat has nothing to do with this. Like I said, this is pain, and this is trauma. That's why I keep telling you more of this. Yes, you have to be aware of not only the laws here of the land, but the laws that kind of govern us spiritually. Those type of laws. But being a vegan does not stop you from being under MK Ultra. There are plenty of vegans out here who are under MK Ultra. I'm talking about your celebrity vegans, right? Because MK Ultra is based upon the science of the brain. So when you experience trauma, this is normal people, right? So say, like how I was talking about when I was raped, right? I don't remember certain things that happened before the rape, because I was traumatized and I went through pain to the point where, for my body, for my mental to be safe, for me to be able to be okay, my mental kind of blocked that out. And that's what happens with MK Ultra. They experience so much trauma that their body their mind compartmentalizes those experiences. So imagine your brain and having different boxes in your brains, and those different boxes, which we call are different identities or multiple identities, are the God damn it. Compartmentalizations of this is what I'm talking about, these 5 and 6 syllable words, man. As for cloning, watch The Island. Yes. Well, they are vegans. Hello, another label. I'm just a conscious eater. Yeah, but what I'm saying is what you eat does not protect you from MK Ultra. It does not protect, because it's all about your mind. You having to have the strength of your mind again, like I'm getting ready to say, you having to have the strength of your mind. You have to have mental strength. So again, when we're focusing on kind of getting our people on the up and up, we have to focus on the mind, the body, and the soul. Because without that trinity, if one thing is lacking, you can always be compromised. If your soul is lacking, you could be compromised within your soul. If you're, well, eating right strengthens your mind halfway, halfway, halfway. Because eating right, eating the not because the processed food and all the BS that they put in the food is used to kind of block what we're able to do. So like calcium, right? The fluoride in your water and toothpaste and stuff is used to calcify your pineal gland, to block it, right? So and aspartame, also another one to kind of mess up your pineal gland and stuff like that. So it's adding on. It's like layers. Like Dr. Sebi, all vegetables, fruits aren't good for you. You have to know what you're eating. But again, like what, I know I got a lot of Sebi babies on here. I'm not a Sebi baby myself. You know, I still eat not alkaline food and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm not saying anything like that. But what I'm saying is solely if you eat right, right? If you eat all the alkaline food in the world, but your soul is not alkaline, your mind is not alkaline, I am sometimes. If your soul is not alkaline, if your mind is not alkaline, then your body being alkaline has nothing to do with anything. What you eat is irrelevant when your mind is being manipulated. Exactly. Because you can have the alkaline body, but you have to have the alkaline mind. And for you to have the alkaline mind, it's not solely about what you eat, it's about the strength of your mind, about understanding hypnosis, about understanding the programming. That is how you can combat it, right? How to deal with trauma and pain instead of being subjected to the you have to be able to face it. Okay, and this goes back to the chakra of what I'm talking about, right? The root chakra. What's your root chakra? What blocks your root chakra is the fear, right? So you have to be able to face your fears for you to move up in your chakra and open up the rest of your chakras. There has to be a balance. Exactly. There has to be a balance for everything. Sebi forgot to say, watch your budget. Sometimes GMO bananas are worth it. Very stupid. See, here in Japan, we don't got GMO bananas. All the bananas are real. And it's sad that I can't, bring a whole shipment back with me to the Americas. You know what I mean? But yes, anyways. So the only way to protect yourself about that, when celebs go to rehab, they're going to be reprogrammed. Exactly. They're going to, because they've been kind of slipping out of their programming, and you can see when celebs start slipping out of their program, they start saying stuff that doesn't really seem like them. So in terms of Cardi B, she's under the MK Ultra programming, right? And that's what's happening to her. And I can't say for sure whether she's been experiencing these traumatic events to help her break into these different identities, the way that your Beyonce has, the way that your Nicki Minaj has, and this is not goes just towards women. These are towards men as well. But with the women, it's more prominent, and that you see it because for some reason it's more acceptable for women to come out and say, well, because again, like, women are seen as more spiritual and stuff like that. So when they say something takes over me, someone else comes out me, it's more acceptable for us to hear versus a man saying that, where we're like, okay, well, you a little funny dude. You know what I mean? Like, that's not really something a man would say. So we see it more in the women. And so yes, so with that, there's a difference between the clone, and you can tell when there's a clone malfunctioning, it does not just affect, she's been traumatized, look at her speaking on Insta Live. Yes, I'm not saying she hasn't been traumatized, but I'm saying to the extent where she is beginning to compartmentalize her brain to where she has a different identity. I have not seen a different Cardi identity. What I will say is I have seen her pushing that persona. Now she definitely has a persona. She has the Cardi B persona, and then she has Bacallus, which is her, given name. Uh, so Bacallus is who we see on the Instagram lives. Bacallus is who we see talking about, the industry being fake, and you think Eminem is a clone? Again, and the clones can be so well. Peace Monsante. That's whose show I was on. When I was talking about the show I was on last time. There's the difference between, and clones are so well. Hold on, let me pull that back up. M says, true, I preach you gotta exercise too, get a full rest, sleep, drink your water. It's not just doing one part and not doing well. Yes, exactly. Barrett says maybe the butt and tit injections went to her brain. Nah, because she had those before, and she was still speaking her truth, right? She was still saying how the industry is fake, and how she has a code. Gonna have you again on Saturday if you're game. I am game. You just gotta let me know the time exactly so I can coordinate it with my time over here. Too many, I mess with you, King, in your anime references. Yes, too many Kage Bush, and that's clones in Japanese. So yes, there are many people who are legitimately cloned, right? And sometimes they're cloned so well that they don't experience any malfunctions. But another times it's just that they've already, submitted to the MK Ultra. Have a good broadcast. I'm going to bed. Peace. Sometimes they've already submitted to the MK Ultra and to the programming. So it may not be a clone. It may just be somebody who's been, like, all right, I give up. I'm a go and act accordingly. Like I don't know if anybody's seen, and this kind of got nothing to do with that. What happens to the real individuals? They're killed. They're killed. That's what happens to the real individuals. They're killed, or they're kept on ice so they can keep getting their DNA. So that's because that's what they use to make their clone. They use their DNA. But as you can tell, that they're cloning, the clones that they do put out are not that advanced, because A, they have the malfunctions, and B, they aren't quite the same as the originals. Just like how you look at any like animal clones, right? The animal clones are not the same as the original animals. Come here, Nugget. A little nasty baby nose. Yeah, I see you. Oh, that's another tooth coming in, baby. It's another baby tooth. Go under. Go under. Go under. There you go. Like that sheep from years ago. Exactly. So they don't have the cloning thing down pat. Yo, I'm about to turn my discipline up a notch. What you mean your discipline? What discipline? Forget that. But yeah, so we have to recognize and do a little bit more studying before we start labeling people as clones, and really understand how MK Ultra works. It's all about the brain, and it's all about how our brain deals with trauma and deals with pains. Oh my God, but I miss my. Oh, I'm sorry. You can always go back. I know this is a long one. But we were just talking about clones and the difference between clones and MK Ultra, and that just being vegan doesn't protect you from traumas, because again, it's how your brain deals with the trauma, and how your brain can function, the fight or flight. What can they do programming through TV? Well, programming through TV is just like mass hypnosis, as Hannibal would tell you. Programming through TV is mass hypnosis because they send signals through the TV, and this is a patent. This is something that you can go and look up and see the U.S. patent. It's cool. Give me those views. Give me those views. I mean, how they do. Let me go back. How can they do the program through the TV? Okay, so again, if anybody is familiar with the technology that the 4K frequency is new, right? Why do you keep going under the table, Nugget, if you can't come back? Oh my God. Come out from under the table, please. Thank you. So yeah, the free, and like I said, it's a patent, so you can go actually and look up. So this is not something that some conspiracy theorists just came up with out of the blue. That it's actually U.S. patent, and these are things that are researchable that you can go and do the research yourself. Which I hate saying now, do the research, because it's mad cliche at this time, but it's actually something that you got to do. So again, these are things, the cell towers too, exactly. They're all frequency emitted in subliminal patterns on TV screens. Yes, you won't see it, but your subliminal mind does. But if you remember the older TVs, you were able to see those patterns. You were able to see those lines. Now you're not able to, because we've changed from the analog to the digital. So we've changed the way, because people were being exposed to this. People were seeing, the funny stuff, the lines and stuff on their TV. So these are the things that they've been doing. And like I was talking about in one of my last videos, the frequencies of the music and stuff they're programming, from 440 hertz to from 432 hertz to 440 hertz. The unnatural frequencies, the stuff to throw us off balance. So yeah, so those are all type of. So I got to get ready to get off of here, because Nugget is like being a little nuisance. I may get into demo one of my classes. I did a quick demo in Delaware after the live stream. I see a video where an expert would point out the different subs in a Fanta commercial. Yeah, 440 is angelic, isn't it? No, 440 hertz is not angelic. 440 hertz is the and yes, most of the subliminals are sex, and are like, sex and greed, basically. 440 hertz is the natural. It's 432 because you see 432 when you look into the phi ratio and stuff like that. I have a video on Instagram about it. When you look into the phi ratio and the kind of natural natural geometries and stuff like that in the world. Great live, Unify. Appreciate it, Denisha. Give thanks. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Put the notifications on. Share if you like. Like I said, the live streams that I'm doing is to discuss with those who are in the know, but it's actually, like I said, like Huey Newton said, you cannot hold this stuff underground. You cannot just discuss this stuff with just amongst us. We have to be able to discuss it with people who are not aware of this knowledge, like people who want to know these type of things, and who are seeking like the kind of truth, but they need people who, like us, are able to talk to them and explain to them without coming across as know-it-alls, or without coming across as condescending or with ulterior motives. We have to be able to kind of talk to them, in a way to which they're able to ingest this information, like how Dr. Kaba talks about speaking to them on the level that they're able to understand, because most of our brothers and sisters out here are on a kindergarten level. We are at the college level, so we can't come to them as college students or college professors and expect for them to understand. We have to drop it down to their level and then kind of build them up that way. And we can't do this in little clubs and little secret societies, right? We can't have the underground revolution. The revolution has to be televised. The revolution has to be promoted. The revolution has to reach other people. It can't just be talking to people who know about it. You love Dr. Kaba's smile. Kaba is a great teacher, and him there's a especially for those who don't know about the Moors, or want to understand more about the Moors, there is a kind of interview with Dr. Kaba and Taj Tariq Bey, and if you are looking to understand the Moors or have a better understanding of the Moors, I suggest you watch that interview. Please try to get the interview. Do not get the chopped and screwed version that they have on Saw Netter's thing on his page, because he kind of chopped and screwed up that interview to where you don't get the full thing. The full interview is about like 3 hours long. I tried sharing certain information with my family, and I've been condemned. You missed the part of where I was reading "To Die for the People" by Huey Newton. Thank you, Unify. I learned a lot today. You are appreciated. I appreciate you, sis. Like, share, subscribe, all that joint when they on the couch. But yes, when you speak like this, and when you blood means nothing. Let's just get this out the way. Blood means nothing in this conscious community, in this woke sphere. Blood means absolutely nothing. The people who are your blood are going to be the ones who are your soul sisters and brothers, the one who are your soul family. That's who's going to be your blood, because those are the people who could connect more with you, who would back you more, rather than the people in your real life, your real blood family. They're the ones who are going to be quicker to condemn you because they don't understand you. Oh, I'm glad we're talking about this, More Comedy says, because I'm trying to buy high-frequency devices for my cell phone to combat the low vibration cell phones give. I've seen this device for a couple of times for the low. Get Organite. I used to go hard. Now they asking me to hold DVDs talking about them. I'm going to be woke. Exactly. I think we need to discuss how people are given heroes and how pop culture is worse. So I will discuss that on my next live, King, on Amazon. I'll discuss that on my, see, I got my pen and my paper so I can take notes about what y'all want to talk about. Yes, Organite though. Organite, check it out. Put it near your Wi-Fi router. A lot of people actually buy the Organites and then they go do good. So this is something you can do to build your karma bank, right? To build your karma, doing things that not even no one will give you credit for, because that's what we got to do. We got to stop looking for people to give us credit for things. We have to stop looking for people to give us recognition for things, because the universe recognizing us. The universe gives us the credit, okay? So what they do is they buy this Organite, and you can buy Organite. Sometimes it's as cheap as $10, and then you have really expensive ones. I started cutting off Wi-Fi off and turning my 4G off. That doesn't always work, because it's still emitted through the air. Just like how if you delete something off the internet, doesn't mean you delete it off the internet, that you can still find it on the internet. When you delete a picture off of Facebook, Facebook still has that picture. So you turning off your Wi-Fi router, or you turning off your Wi-Fi on your phone doesn't stop it. Just because like especially when you have an iPhone, because the batteries are built in and you can't take off your battery, they can always track it. Just because you turn it off doesn't mean that it's off. Look up Albert Pike and Richard Dawkins on memetics when you get the chance. Just have to write that down. Let me pull up the other one. I think we already kind of like dive into how pop culture is warped, but I will go more in depth. take down that playpen because he's getting too big for his britches now. Yeah, he's okay. I told y'all he was climbing into that play. Try to do it again, but you gotta start using the words now. Yeah, he's okay. But yeah, so I'm gonna go take care of him. We'll continue this conversation. I used to do the same stuff. I swear it's little boys. Little boy or something else. Oh, Nugget. Yeah, he will be all right. Like I said, he's a little rambunctious one. Oh, thank you, Sahara. I appreciate it. But yeah, we'll continue up the conversation. Islam, y'all, and peace and love until next time. I appreciate y'all coming through and spending the time with me. Discussing and all that stuff. Yeah.